There's the moves and there's the mood. Anybody can do choreography, but if you can't paint the picture, if you can't show me what the character wants or is doing, then you're just going through the motions. And that's what I was doing in life. Before I had any mentoring, before Valor Mentoring really stepped into my life, I had developed a skill that made it really easy for me to disassociate. Actually, is the word. I never attached my feelings of sadness or anger or wondering what if or who was this person that was supposed to be my biological dad. In almost like a cynical way, I always tell people that, I was never really mad at this person because I didn't really have a face to be mad at, if that makes sense. I thought, well, if I don't know him, how can I be mad at him? And so that kind of allowed me to mask any kind of anger that was like within myself. It was always situational anger. It was never anything having to do with my past. It was never anything to do with me not, having mom and dad in the home. It was never like brought to light that I was really upset about. Like not like Father's Day is my least favorite day of the year because I didn't get to do the Father's Day card when you're in like middle school, elementary school. Your teacher has you write a Father's Day card, and I was like, "Where's mine supposed to go?" And I never but I disassociated that because I was like, well, I just don't have a dad, and I'm happy that I have a mom, and I'm happy that I have uncles, and I'm happy that I have a grandpa, and I'm happy that I have a grandma, and so I replaced this anger with thankfulness. Thank goodness that's where my heart went. But I replaced the anger with thankfulness for what I did have. But I never dug into the fact that I was mad that I didn't have a father. As a child, I was involved in my church choir. I was really affirmed by my biological mom and my stepdad in my like artistic ability to sing and dance. I was involved in like little like plays here and there, and I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. And while I did it, I realized that there was this flowers and applaud when I was doing it, right? Like I would do a concert choir and I'd get flowers and applause. I would do a dance when my family's around and we're having like a barbecue or something. I just like start breakdancing as like a kid. I didn't even know I was breakdancing, but I'd get this like applause, and so I started to learn how to get attention with the skills that I had, even as a kid. And that was really just me seeking out that like affirmation of like, hey, you're good at this. We love you. But some of that turned into, what if I don't dance? What if I don't sing? What does that look like when I stop doing those things? I think God, and I think the ability for the mind to connect things, even when they start out maybe as negative. I learned quickly that through dance and through singing and through acting that I met some of my best friends. So where it may have started as a child, something that I sought for attention, and I didn't really love it then, but I realized I was good at it and I could turn it into my own thing and do it for myself. My best friends in my breakdancing crew, and I danced with them for 8 to 10 years, and it was the most fun I ever had. And I got to do acting, and in high school when I finally learned that I was good at doing musicals and singing and choreography, and I had that ability, I met some of my best friends just from being in that environment, and I fell in love with it. So I would say that yeah, at first these skills, they started as a mask, and then I found that I was good at that, and I felt more like myself actually when I was doing them. So I took what I started as something that could have been negative in my life, and had the ability to change it into something positive. And I think that really turned the corner for me when when Valor Mentoring stepped into my life, because a lot of it changed, my perspective changed when I thought about how I could impact other people's lives. Because before I was competing for myself, I was competing for my crew, for, awards, accolades, prize money, the travel, the adventure, that like adrenaline rush that came with that. But when I got involved with like getting mentored and really talking out my feelings and talking out like my past and talking about, hey, like where does that hurt? Where does the actual hurt lie? What am I angry with? That really allowed me to use my talent for other people. I began to teach hip hop and breakdancing. I learned a new skill in ballet, and I got to turn that around and then teach ballet. And I found even more joy in teaching it because I got to be around people who I felt like not only would I influence them in some way, but I could influence them that, hey, in a way that says, hey, dance is great, but this isn't really about the stage. This is about you developing who you are. Because one of my favorite quotes is, everybody wants the spotlight until they realize the spotlight is extremely hot. And I didn't realize, I didn't understand that until I was on stage and the spotlight comes on and you're blinded by the light and you're having to dance and you can't see anything as a dancer when you're on stage. Everybody thinks like, oh, everybody's watching you. You really can't. Like, the spotlight blinds you to the people in the audience. And so it's really just you dancing under this hot spotlight, and you really have to do it for yourself at that point. And so I started to fall in love with my talents for myself and realized through mentoring that these talents that I had were specifically given to me for a reason. And it didn't have to be this like song and dance. Hey, monkey, dance for us, and we're going to clap for you and throw flowers at you. And so when Valor Mentoring stepped into my life, I was really able to define my hurts. Then I was able to get past those things, especially fatherlessness. I mean, that was my first mentor, Tim Davis. He straight asked me one day at a coffee shop, he's like, what are you mad about? And I was so confused. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, at the time when I met Tim Davis, I had really been struggling in my life and really needed some direction. And that's where he stepped in to help me. He's like, you have to talk out this anger. Like, you might not even realize you have it, but like, people who are happy don't get into this kind of trouble. People who are filled with joy aren't out there trying to dance for other people. You're not trying to play a part for other people. When you're truly happy, you're happy for yourself. So I think that was kind of like the big thing for me, is like I stopped doing things like dance for other people. I stopped performing, and I really just like was myself. Ultimately, you can learn, and I think dance is a great example of this. But you can learn choreography, and you can do the moves. You can go through the motions, as they say, right? Go through the motions. But until you make it your own, any skilled dancer will tell you, you're just dancing. You're just doing the choreography. There's no emotion there. There's no sign of why you're doing this dance. And I tell my dancers now, is I tell them, there's the moves and there's the mood. Anybody can do choreography, but if you can't paint the picture, if you can't show me what the character wants or is doing, then you're just going through the motions. And that's what I was doing in life. Is I was just going through the motions, and And when I got involved with Valor Mentoring, I realized that I was going through the motions in life, in career, in friendships, in relationships, in my spiritual life. Like I was just playing the part. And that was the biggest thing for me is I had to realize talking it out, my angers, my frustrations, my past, I had to really figure out who Fausto was and what does Fausto want. And so with Valor Mentoring, doing that for me, it really inspired me to turn around and do it myself. So that's why I got involved with Valor Mentoring, and that's why I enjoy mentoring other people because it's like it's like climbing up a ladder, right? There's rungs, you have to climb the ladder. But once you've reached a point on the ladder and you understand it, you can reach back and pull somebody else up. And that's why I love mentoring. It's a beautiful way of life that you don't have to do this alone. Somebody has done this before you, and if you try and scratch and kick and pull and claw your way through life, you might be okay, maybe. But if you allow somebody who's done this stuff before you can avoid a lot of the hurt. You can avoid a lot of the issues, problems, consequences. And sure, some people learn through accidents and through circumstances, but man, emotionally climbing out of those pits of, oh, I made another mistake, I got to try again. you don't you don't realize when you're young that you don't actually have to do life like that, and that if you allow somebody to come alongside you like a mentor, you can avoid a lot of those snags in life. And that's what I enjoy about Valor Mentoring, and the programs is like you can learn. We're teaching life skills, and we're really just doing life together. Career, general life, relationship, spiritual growth. There's a lot of things that you don't have to learn and then unlearn to learn new things. You can just do life with somebody who's done it before you. And sometimes that's hard. Sometimes that's hard for people. Everybody wants to make it my own way, or do it my way, or I'm going to find a better way, and there's a small percentage of people who do. And there's a huge percentage of people who get a mentor and find that life is easier when you have a map.
And if you want to see more lives changed like Fausto's, please donate now.